Dan Geltrude, Geltrude & Company founder. What do you think of all this, Dan? It's a trend, certainly, in technology companies that I dare say could probably afford it. It's a little tough competition for other companies that might not be able to afford it. So where's all this going?
You know, Neil, I am fine when you have private companies that are competing against each other for talent. There's nothing wrong with that, even though the impact of this is going to be what's called wage push inflation, because these companies are not going to just absorb these additional costs and expenses related to their employees. That is going to get pushed ultimately to the consumer. Now, given everything that we've been going through with inflation, this tells me that inflation has a way to go. I don't see inflation actually cooling off anytime soon when we're paying people more money to do what they used to do for a lot less.
You know, I'm very happy when I hear reports of people will be making more money. For example, I just found out here, Dan, that other anchors are paid. That kind of ticked me off, but it's not about me. But what I do wonder is the spillover effect of this, because what we've been seeing is wage gains across the board have been substantial. I think we're averaging about 5 or 6% year over year. But unfortunately, the cost of goods have been rising anywhere from 8 to 9%. So all that money they're making, they're paying out and then some. That's not a good combination.
Well, that's the whole rub here, Neil, is that people are being paid more. The numbers are showing about 5.5% increase in their wages. However, inflation at 8.5%. So they're losing ground every day, even though they're making more money. So you have more money coming in. However, you're in a situation where you have to spend perhaps much more when we look at specific costs like fuel. It's a lot more than 8 or 9%. So you actually have the average American citizen that's going backwards. And that's how insidious inflation is, Neil. That's why, to me, that is the #1 economic priority that we have. We have to deal with inflation. Otherwise, everybody's being dealt a losing hand.
Yeah. You know, while I have you here, I saw the release of these Fed minutes yesterday, and I know people were sort of glomming around the notion here that the Federal Reserve is going to be vigilant and aggressively raise rates. I had a bit of a different interpretation from that, especially with the backdrop being a number of Fed governors, district presidents saying, you know, they might slow down the pace of this. Maybe there won't be a September hike. It's still another saying that in 2024, still a ways off, we could see a rate cut. And I'm thinking, you know, maybe they're all talk. What do you think?
You know, Neil, I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to back off of the position of having rates going up unless for some reason inflation starts to retract for other reasons. I think that the Fed is going to have to continue to raise rates, and it's going to be painful. There is no easy solution when you have inflation the way we do right now.
So they wouldn't interrupt. They wouldn't interrupt either the pace or the size of these hikes, in your opinion. And by the way, you've been accurate every step of the way, so I defer to you on this. But you don't see them blinking here. When I hear a couple of them saying, you know, it doesn't have to be every meeting and all that. That's not the consensus on the Fed?
I don't think so, Neil. I think they're going to have to continue to raise rates until it starts to have some impact, because to let inflation allow to keep going up and up and up, that's just not an acceptable answer, because it's doing so much damage to the U.S. economy. And, Neil, let's not forget, I think we are right at the cusp of stagflation, and that's the trifecta of inflation, a slowing economy, and rising unemployment. We're seeing companies like Target and Walmart going into hiring freezes and maybe even cutbacks on labor. This is a terrible economic sign. That's why I believe the Fed has to go forward with raising rates right now.
Well, they could make things worse, though, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Listen, as I said, it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
Rising rates is not just, oh, this is great, let's celebrate. There are a lot of consequences. How about all those small businesses that rely on being able to get access to capital to keep their businesses going, and it's going to get a lot more expensive. So there is no easy out in this situation we're in economically.
Scary stuff. I hope you're wrong on this, Dan. Thank you very much. Dan Geltrude, accountant by training, but a very, very good read of the overall economy here.